Welcome to the Hookup. My name is Crochet Zaddy, your host and fellow craft enthusiast, and this is your weekly dose of crafty conversations with your favorite crafty content creators. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Hookup with me, your host, Crochet Zaddy. And on the episode, we have a new resident guest. We have a new resident guest. We have Drew from Drewbieszoo. Welcome along.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, what do you want and why are you here? No. In this episode, we are going to get to know Drew a little bit more. And then we're going to bring him back for another episode and maybe another. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see if we bring him back again after that. Let's see how he does in this first one before we promise anything.
We'll play it by ear.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear by what I decide. Anyway, so Drew, let's get to know you. As someone who does not know you very well at all, I don't know a single thing. Actually, to be honest, I can't remember the answers to half these questions. So it's going to be a renewal of us getting to know each other. So where did it all begin with you and crochet or even just crafting in general?
So my grandma taught me to knit when I was 10. There was a period of time when they rented the house like a few doors down from us. And so I would go down. I was 10. So I was in like 5th grade. I would go down, she would bring out the yarn and the needles. I made this hideous bright red scarf. It was just all garter stitch. It barely wrapped around my neck, and I was so proud of it. But yeah, I just thought it was really cool that you can take like 2 sticks and some string and you could make stuff. And so I got really into knitting after that. In high school, I actually started the Knitters Guild. Every Tuesday at lunch, we would meet in the choir room, and it was me and a bunch of my friends who wanted to learn how to knit, which was a lot of fun. We got our photo in the yearbook and stuff like that. But when I was a senior in high school, sorry, go ahead.
Were you teaching them? Sorry.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Sorry, did the middle of my sentence interrupt the start of yours?
What was the question?
I said, were you teaching
them?
Oh.
I was the only one that knew how to knit, which seems like a kind of a prerequisite for joining a knitting club, but they all wanted to learn, and I knew how, so... I was so ambitious at the start of the year. I thought we were going to do like a full-on fashion show at the end of the year. Like we were going to get other students to model, and everyone was going to make all these garments and sweaters and scarves and hats. Not a single person finished their project. Like their Learn to Knit project. I mean, like we met the full year and not a single one of them finished.
What were you doing in this Knitters Guild?
I mean, mostly just having fun and like laughing, but they were trying. It was fun. I'm just proud that we were in the yearbook. I have the picture. I'll send you the picture if you want to put it on the screen.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know. Is that weird with like permission for people?
Let's just imagine it. Because right now I'm imagining I'm imagining your beginner project was like almost like a little red like neckerchief, and it was just like it's all like tied around your neck, and you're like, look what I made. Like that was your first project.
Well, by that point I had been already knitting for like 7 years, so I was good by that point.
Oh,
but
you're a pro.
But then, the beginning project that I was trying to get them all to do was a scarf with 2 colors, where you did like a full skein of one color, then a different color for like around the neck, and then a full skein of the other color. And then you embroidered kg, like kilograms, because of that, like the weight of yarn, but also Knitters Guild.
Oh. And then you put your weight on the end. They had to weigh themselves and put it on the end of their scarf.
It was also a body dysmorphia club. No, don't put this in, but I originally wanted to call it the Fiber Arts Guild.
Can I please put that in? That's so funny.
It's pretty
Please,
funny.
it's Pride Month.
It won't be
I'll
when the
take-
time this gets posted.
I will take the blame.
Okay, I didn't say that. Anyway, when I was 17, I really wanted to make a scarf I saw at Urban Outfitters, which I don't know if you guys have that. It's like a really like skeezy, trendy boutique type thing that charges too much money. But anyway, they had a scarf that was vertical stripes, like a bunch of different shades of green. And I was like, I could make that. But with knitting, it would be very, very difficult to make a vertical striped scarf because you would either have to cast on the full length of the scarf or you'd have to change colors every stitch. So I was like, but crochet, you just cast or you just chain all the ones you want to do and then whatever. So I bought a book from Borders, Books and Music, called The Happy Hooker. And I taught myself to crochet. This was in 2005 or 6, so YouTube wasn't around yet. So I couldn't learn from YouTube because I'm very old. So I bought the book. I taught myself to crochet. I chained the first row so tight, and then every consecutive row got a little bit looser. So by the end, the project was like a perfect rainbow because one side was a lot shorter than the other. It was pretty cool. It actually worked well in the scarf because of the shape. Anyway, that's where I learned to crochet, and then I did it on and off for a while. And then 9 years ago, one of my friends from high school had his first kid, and I made a turtle and a lion. And they were like, "You should sell these on Etsy." And that was the start of Drewbieszoo.
That's such a classic response by someone who doesn't craft.
Right? You should sell these.
Yeah. Give them one doll, and they're like, "You should start a business."
You're amazing. Except I was, so.
They saw the talent. They're essentially the Simon Cowell of crochet.
But then, so I was living in LA and working as a costume designer, just doing like small projects here and there. So I had a lot of downtime. And so I looked into starting an Etsy. So I got a bunch of yarn. I started with 12 designs, I think. And at the time I wasn't doing patterns. I was just doing finished plushies. And I was doing it where I only listed things when they were like ready to be sold. And then when they sold, I would remake them. So it was slow going for a while. It was a nice little side hustle. But it grew over the years, and I don't know how in-depth you want this history to be because apparently it's real in-depth.
I'm following. I'm listening in because, well, I want to ask you, I want to go back to the costume design bit, but also I like when we get to the part where you get onto, because this is when you started social media, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you start Drewbieszoo 9 years ago?
Yeah, Drewbieszoo, June 4th, 2015 was when I opened my Etsy shop.
Beautiful. And at which point during this time did you regret having a S and a Z next to each other in your name?
Not soon enough, or I would have changed it. I thought it was like a cute little like Drewbieszoo, like it sounds cute, but then trying to explain how to spell it to people and like seeing it written down, I'm like, well, that's a mistake. And also having the apostrophe in there because it's Drewbieszoo, like the zoo belonging to Drewby, and like apostrophes are never a good idea in a in a business name. So there are some regrets. So I've kind of become one of those businesses that has it miss like the wrong punctuation because I leave off the apostrophe now. So now it's just Drewbieszoo. Thanks for bringing that up.
At least you don't have people on Reddit saying that your name is Icky.
Oh, right. Because, well, yeah.
What do they say? Because your name, anyone who like sexualizes their name or some, oh no, it's anyone who tries to go after the daddy thing. I was like,
yeah.
I
thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's a joke, people. It's just a joke. Grow up anyway.
But that was also when I started. That was when I started my Instagram account, was to market Drewbieszoo, and my God, was the growth slow for me back then. I think it took maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years, to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. Which, I mean, you know, but I was posting like every day, and there was a thing back then where like they wanted you to be really active on the site, and so like the more you liked other posts, the more people would see your post. So I had like my Drewbieszoo Instagram time every day where I would like I would go to the amigurumi hashtag and I would like the 100 most recent photos, and that would you're frozen. Am I frozen?
No. Oh,
Okay, sorry.
I was just jaw dropping. I wasn't frozen.
Yeah.
I was just
No, it took like an hour. I would post my picture, and then I would go to the amigurumi hashtag, like the 100 most recent posts, and it worked really well. I mean, it like I had steady growth. It was just very slow going.
Was there any like names that you recognize now that was floating around at that time?
So not bad. Vincent and I started on Instagram right around the same time. And then he just like went through the stratosphere and like blew up. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, because I'm doing that too, but that's fine. No, he's really cool. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love Vincent and he deserved it. It was wonderful. But it's also like, oh my God, seeing, how it could blow up for someone and having it not blow up for you is it's a pretty sobering feeling.
But then you had your time. No, you had your you had your moment.
Yeah, like 7 years later. that's stick with it, because maybe 7 years later you'll have your moment. No, so like it grew slowly. I moved back to Michigan in I think the end of 2017, so early 2018. And I was back with my parents. And so I just sort of like dove in and did full-time crochet. And like, I mean, it helped that I wasn't having to pay rent. And like, that was great. But by that point, I was doing a lot of custom orders. And like, I had gotten up to like, I think 6,000 or 7,000 followers at that point on Instagram.
That's pretty good.
Not that follower count is everything, but like, yeah,
it's a nice thing to recognize.
It's for me, it's like a metric of like where my journey was like, and then during the pandemic, I saw the notice that the U.S. government was talking about banning TikTok, and I was like, well, I guess I should download it now just in case. And then I wasn't planning on doing any crochet stuff on TikTok. The Drewbieszoo account that I'm using now started off as my personal account, which was Drewbieszoo. Don't worry about it.
Was that from the song?
No, it was just like Scooby Doo, but then that was taken, so I did AH at the end, which are my initials because Andrew Hill. So Drewbieszoo.
I always thought you were like being jazzy.
And that works too, like Drewbieszoo.
I thought it was like
it's just fun to say.
Doobie doo, but like doobie dooba. Drewbieszoo.
But that is why my TikTok account has a period in it. Drewbieszoo. I started posting some crochet videos just for fun on TikTok. And like I had 30 followers. Like I was just like, just having fun. And then my 5th video was me making a hippo with Bernat blanket yarn to the sound I think Moto Moto likes you. I like them big. And that just randomly took off. I mean, it's at like 2.2 million, I think now, views. But it was my 5th video. I went from 33 followers to I think 70,000 followers overnight. Which I didn't sleep that night. I literally
you're like
every time I refreshed, there were more comments, there were more followers. I was like, it was one of the most exciting nights like I've ever had. Just like, and I like woke up in the morning and I like showed my parents, and my dad was like, "What?" And my mom was like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." And
dad being like, "Huh?
What?" But then my mom was like, all right, well, we need to keep track of this. And so she like got out a piece of paper and started writing down like what time it was, how many views it was, how many followers I had, how many likes it had. And then every few hours she'd be like, what's it at now? So like,
It's so cute.
I have the piece of paper somewhere because like the next day I was like, I gotta keep going. So I had made my baby Yeti, which I don't know if I have one nearby, but I have a little fluffy baby Yeti
Yeah.
that I made right around that time. And so I was like, well, clearly everyone likes big and chunky. What about small and fluffy? And I showed off the Yeti. And then that one blew up on the tail of the hippo video because I was still getting attention from that. So then on the sheet, she also started keeping track of the Yeti video. And like that was really like the moment that everything changed.
Yeah.
Was when my video went viral on TikTok.
When you say the moment that everything changed, was that when you decided that you wanted to? I mean, you're already saying you're doing it full time, but like really commit that this was the thing to do full time.
Yeah. Well, and it also changed me from wanting to do finished plushies to writing, like designing patterns, because I had thousands of messages from people who wanted to buy the hippo. And I was like, I can't make that many hippos. And so that was sort of like, if I write a pattern for this, then other people who crochet can make hippos and maybe sell them or, whatever. So then maybe some of these people who are messaging me, I can say, hey, this person is making that same hippo. You can buy it from them. And like, I never really used other people's patterns when I was working on Drewbieszoo. I really enjoy figuring out how things are made. So like, I would draw like a cute little character and I'd be like, how do I make this in crochet? Like, how do I figure out these shapes? Like, that's a cone, that's a sphere, that's a, whatever. So like, I really prided myself in like figuring it all out. So I never used other people's patterns. So I feel like in one hand, that helped me a lot to like really master my craft, as it were. Like, because I like fundamentally understand the shapes and how to make them and stuff like that. And then with TikTok, I started meeting other designers and, testing patterns and like doing stuff. And then I realized like how much you can learn from other people. And so like the trajectory of everything was sort of like slow, and then TikTok happened and then everything just went crazy. Like I started learning a ton from other people. I started, making a lot more content and like having a lot more ideas, and sorry, I'm petering out. I don't know what else to do.
Well, I was gonna say, because that's when I jumped in. Like, because how long after I was like, I'm the next pivotal point of the story, but I wanted to know at which point since the hippo, because how long was it between the hippo video and then my appearance?
Not that long. It was probably a couple months. I think because the hippo video was in February, and then I think it would have been like April or May, I think, that we started chatting. And it was because I started coming into your lives and you started coming into my lives, and we started seeing each other in other people's lives.
And we started spamming like sheep emojis in people's like lives and like just being absolute menaces.
Yeah, we were problematic for sure.
That was really funny.
Just ambush people with sheep emoji.
Early TikTok days were so funny.
They honestly, some of those early lives, because I started going live, I don't know, maybe like a week or two in after the hippo video. So like people were coming because I was still like, I had, trajectory. I was still like getting a lot of attention.
And it wasn't just because you look like that famous Russian YouTuber.
That was later.
Okay.
That was later. There is a YouTuber from Russia named, I want to say, Dmitry Kuplanov. I know his last name is Kuplanov for sure. And the reason I know that is because I had to download a Cyrillic keyboard on my phone so that I could block his name on TikTok comments. Because I was literally getting thousands of comments that were just Kuplanov ? Hey, you look like Kuplanov. And I had to figure out like all the different ways people spelled it wrong. So,
do you look like Kuplanov?
Not really. I mean, I'm like a bigger guy with glasses and a beard, and that's about it. So that was the video. It was around Easter because I was doing fuzzy chicks. So I had little birds that were with fluffy yarn. And I did a video where like I'm crocheting and then like slowly more and more appear until I'm buried in them.
Yeah.
And that video was my second video to get over 1 million views. and most of them were from Russia. And at that point, I think I was up to, I think it was around 100, 120K. And I looked up because I used to be like obsessed with the analytics of like where everyone was from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think 13% of my followers were from Russia, which was 20 or 30,000 people.
You have just such an influence on Russia.
And I was like, this is why the app is going to get banned. Because I'm directly responsible. I'm going to be investigated.
Yeah, you're going to be appearing in the TikTok trials and they'll be like holding up a picture of you and being like, why is this a Russian TikToker?
Are you Dmitry Kupanov? That was such a weird time. Because in the beginning, it was really like exciting still, even though they weren't there for the crochet, they were just there because of Kupanov. I was still like getting lots of views and comments and likes and stuff. So that was exciting. But then it got to the point where like I was missing like real comments, like people talking about like the crochet and stuff and like
about you.
Let's be honest. I was tired of hearing about that guy. I wanted to hear about me. So then I did end up having to block his name on the comments, which got rid of, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 comments at that point. Meanwhile, my dad was still like, what? And my mom was like, this is crazy.
Was your mom like, this is ruining my analytics sheet?
She'd switched to, she had an Excel spreadsheet now.
Yeah, she could. Did she still have one?
No, but she did get a TikTok so that she could watch my video.
Beautiful. I was imagining her coming back with some graphs, being like, Drew, we need to talk about your TikTok now.
You got to step it up. Yeah. So then I guess if we're continuing on, so like, you know the story now because you were there for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dove in headfirst to content creation and going live all the time. And then we're going to talk more about this later. But because of my growth on TikTok, you know, my Instagram sort of blew up as well. And oh, are we frozen?
Are we?
Are we back?
I don't think we froze. I think I just get like
you just stop
fully stop moving. I just get so focused on your back. I just want to hear from you. Stop. I'm just listening.
Well, blink or something.
I just know. I always want to know what you're about to say.
But then, because of the growth, I met a lot of people from all over the world.
The growth?
Because of my growth. Childish. So childish. Grow up. So Jen Joyce, Knit Pearl, who's part of Making, the Making app and Making magazine, she was the one who reached out and said, hey, someone contacted me about possibly finding someone to write this crochet book. And I thought of you. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so I thought that it was going to be one of those like, you know, compilation books where like I was going to write one pattern for a book or something like that. And I thought that up until the phone call I had with the editor or with the like talent scout.
I'm just imagining you like setting up being like, what do you want me to make? And they're like, the whole book?
But kind of. Yeah. And then she was like, yeah, so it'll be 20 patterns. And I was like, I beg your pardon?
I thought I was just bringing the hippo.
We'll talk more about the book in a little bit. But anyway, so
yeah.
It was end of 2021 was when I started writing the book. And then that came out in September of 2022. And yeah.
We'll come back to that next episode.
We'll come back to the book. Yeah.
That was a very exciting part.
That was definitely like a very high point.
Before we get onto the book talk, the thing I wanted to talk about was your previous career as a costume designer, because I think it's interesting, and I want to know how it ties into your crochet and your creativity, creativeness.
For sure. That was another accident.
Like, I love your neckerchief. You should do costume design. This whole thing.
But when I was in high school, I was part of the theater guild. So like I did a lot of like acting.
What was the theater guild called?
It was called the Theater Guild.
Okay.
But so I was a performer for most of my time. And then my senior year of high school, I decided to try other things. So like I directed a show. And then we did a competition each year, a 1-act competition against other schools. And like then you get judged and you get sent on to the state finals. And I did the costumes for it. We did the Elephant Man. I did the costumes for that. And the state finals were at the University of Michigan, which is in my hometown, Ann Arbor. And so when you're costume designing a show, you do like renderings of the costumes and like swatches, and you like, so like you draw a picture of the character in costume.
Yeah, it's like the dots going around the screen. I was like, rendering. Carry on.
And then you sort of write the research. And so the costume shop were really impressed with my designs, and they came up to me during the competition and asked if I'd ever considered applying to their costume design program, which I had not. I was convinced that I was going to go to school for acting. I was going to be a performer on Broadway. But so I applied to the school both for acting and for costume design. And I had the last interview on the last interview day for the costume design position. And I got in, and I did not get in for acting. And so I was like, well, that sucks it.
You applied to acting school at the same time as this, and you didn't get into acting school.
Yeah, so like I auditioned for the musical theater program, which is one of the best in the country. So like I wasn't going to get it. But on the other end of that, the design and production is also one of the best in the country, and I did get into that. So
look at you go.
It's like a conservatory program, so like your curriculum is planned out for the full time you're there. You have to learn like lighting design and set design and stage management. So I like dabbled in all of that stuff as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it definitely like, I love working in a team, and like, you know, so usually like the director is the one who's like obviously in charge of everything, but like they have to approve all the costumes and stuff. So like working with them to bring their vision to life. Like sometimes they'll have a different take on a show, and they'll be like, we're doing it set in, you know, like the 1940s or something. And so then you have to do the research for that.
No, I am listening. Sorry that my face doesn't look like I'm listening. Leave me alone.
But yeah, no, I did enjoy that. It's a very hectic lifestyle. Professionally, like once I was out of school, it was a very like I moved to Chicago, and I did a lot of theater there. And like it's just like late nights and like mad dashes across the city, and like with costume or with crochet, you just like yarn and like a comfortable chair at some movies and stuff like that, and like and so like it's fun to do. It's a lot more sustainable, because with costume design, like it's so fun, but it's like it's a sprint versus a marathon, because like you know, you've got a short period of time to put on a show and get everything all set, and then it's done. It's over forever. Like, it's just, you know, it once existed and now it doesn't. Whereas with, you know, crochet, like it's around for a while. It has a little more permanence to it, which I also appreciate. Like I learned a lot of like color theory and like shapes and design and stuff like that, which really helps with crochet, and like, you know, all of the like visual aspects of it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I'm fully aware that we've gone like way over time for this part. So
I didn't expect to talk so much. I'm so sorry.
no, you're here to talk. I don't really, honestly, I don't mind. I like watching you speak. Can you stop doing that? I was just going to quickly jump back to the future again for the last final question. Was like, what has the crochet life been since releasing the book? I mean, like, I know we're about to talk about the book more in depth, but more about since becoming quite popular on TikTok and then releasing a book. What has the crochet journey looked like since then?
Yeah, no, it's so weird. I remember when I started out on TikTok, like going into lives and like people didn't know who I was, and like it was kind of like just like calm and relaxing. Whereas I feel like now I'll like go into a live of like someone who just popped up on my FYP crocheting that I've never seen before, and I go in there like, oh my god, is that Drewbieszoo? And I'm like, oh dear, like I don't look at me. I just want to hang
out. I just want to chill out here.
Having more people know who I am than I know who they are is a weird feeling for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. Like, it's very cool to like have that. Like, I mean, like I've been recognized in public a couple times, which is like such a weird, like, oh yeah, like it's not just on screens. Like people exist.
Yeah.
It's been really great though. I will say that like recently, starting like at the end of last year, I had.
I am here. Stop.
I think you're frozen.
I'm not frozen. Like this is about you're about to start talking about your like health conditions. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Briefly, I don't.
You're like start cracking up. I was like, I'm just really trying to listen in because I'm a compassionate person.
Maybe like sway back and forth or something. I don't know.
Anyway, end of last year.
Towards the end of last year, I started having some health issues. And then at the beginning of this year, I had my tonsils out. And then 2 weeks ago, I had an emergency cholecystectomy and had my gallbladder out. So, like, that's been a challenge. It's really difficult to create content and feel up to doing stuff when you're not feeling well. So now I'm kind of like navigating the waters of like what I can handle as far as like how much work I can do.
Yeah.
How I can like stay current and relevant and like, up to date and stuff. Because I feel like there are different expectations when someone has a big following. Like having, really crappy performing videos or having like low reach or having just like not fully thought out videos. Or I mean, like I have off days where I just want to post something dumb and like sometimes I feel like I can't because people expect more from me, which I know sounds like champagne problems or whatever, but it can be stressful trying to. Why are we trying to have this serious conversation?
I don't know. I just want to get to know you, Drew.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, so I think like it's a wonderful thing to be, to have some success and have a big following, but it does add a lot of pressure on where you feel like you can't maybe be as like carefree or, irreverent with your posts and stuff. You feel, at least for me, you've stayed the same this whole time, which I like am very impressed about. Like, I mean, like your content has gotten better, but it hasn't changed, if that makes any sense. Like you've improved.
Thank you.
But you stayed yourself.
This is all I was fishing for when I wanted to hear about you and your health conditions was how great I've been doing.
Exactly. But so anyway, so that's where I'm at now is like clawing my way back into hopefully, being a major player.
I feel like when you actually recently you returned with such a gusto. I hope that's the right word.
I'm trying.
Gusto. And it feels like It felt like when you've turned back up, everyone's just been like, yes! And then just like fully into the content.
Which I've been trying, and it's been fun. And then my gallbladder died. So like now I can't like lift more than 10 pounds, which makes it hard to do videos and things. But I've got some clear visions for where Drewbieszoo is headed. I've got some exciting new stuff coming down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I'm excited. I'm all aboard the
I'm excited
Drewbieszoo train. Yeah. Hoot hoot. Anyway, on that note, let's cut to a quick break before. I mean, it's a quick break for us, but we'll be back for the next episode where we get to hear more about your book and your book journey and all of that jazz. So thanks for joining in on this episode, everyone, and we will see you after the break. In bunny quotes. And go support us on all the apps. Thank you for listening in to another episode of The Hookup. We'll be back again next week for more crafty conversations with more crafty friends. Have a good day. Bye.